The galaxy had changed. Bright cities floated between stars. Massive stations shined like artificial suns. Fleets of alien ships moved in perfect lines, guided by advanced AI. Energy weapons powered by pure plasma protected every major world. To most species, this age felt permanent, strong, unbreakable. And in this galaxy, humanity was nothing more than a forgotten word. Inside the Grand Council Hall of Aurelian Prime, hundreds of alien leaders sat in silence. The hall was ancient, carved from crystal and metal older than many stars. Holographic banners showed the symbols of the ruling powers. Among them, the strongest was the Virex Dominion. A tall Virex commander stood at the center. His armor glowed with blue energy. His eyes were cold and sharp. "The borders are secure," he said. "No unknown fleets. No threats detected." The AI Council system confirmed his words with a calm voice. Probability of external danger, less than 1%. The Council relaxed. One smaller alien species raised a weak, shaking hand. "There is one old matter," the delegate said. "A rumor spreading among traders. About humans." A low sound of laughter moved through the hall. "Humans?" another leader mocked. "That myth again?" A giant screen activated. Old images appeared. Primitive metal ships. Chemical rockets. Cities covered in smoke. Humans were early space travelers, the AI explained. Low technology. High conflict. Self-destructive. The screen showed wars. Missiles falling. Planets burning. "These are known as the human wars," the AI continued. "They fought each other more than their enemies. Their fleets were slow. Their weapons outdated. Their strategy, emotional." The Virex commander folded his arms. "They failed," he said. "Like many before them." Another image appeared. A blue planet, cracked and dark. "Earth," the AI said. "Human homeworld. Believed destroyed during their final conflicts. No signals detected for over 500 years." Silence followed. "So they are extinct," said a council member. "Why speak of ghosts?" The smaller alien swallowed. "Because some old records say humans survived worse before." The Virex commander turned slowly. His voice was calm but firm. "If humans exist," he said, "they are weak." The words echoed through the hall. "Even if a few survived," he continued, "they would be hiding in the dark. Afraid. Using broken ships and old ideas. This galaxy belongs to those who evolved." The council agreed. The topic was closed. Far from the bright halls of power, deep in forgotten space, old human ships were displayed in museums. Children from other species laughed at their sharp angles and thick armor. "Why so much metal?" they asked. "Why no energy shields?" The guides answered, they did not trust light weapons. They believed in mass, in impact. The children laughed more. Humanity became a lesson, a warning, a failure. Beyond the mapped stars, silence ruled. No scanners reached this far. No AI watched the dark between galaxies. It was empty space, or so everyone believed. But something ancient waited there. A small object floated alone, cold, black, covered in old scars. It had no lights, no movement, no signal. It had waited for centuries. Inside the object, systems slept. Not AI systems, human systems. Simple, strong, patient. A timer reached 0. Power flowed again. Old circuits woke up. Not fast, not loud. Just enough. A single antenna unfolded. No energy burst. No bright flash. Just a quiet pulse. Across deep space a signal moved. Slow, steady, impossible to notice for normal sensors. But it was designed that way. The signal carried no images. No greetings. Only a code. A human code. At the edge of known space, a long-abandoned relay station suddenly came alive. Dust shook free as its lights blinked on for the first time in 500 years. The station's AI tried to process the incoming data. Then it froze. Because the code was marked forbidden. The system sent an automatic alert. Back at Aurelian Prime, alarms sounded. The council turned in shock as a red symbol appeared above the chamber. "Unknown transmission detected," the AI announced. The Virex commander frowned. "Source." The AI hesitated. "That never happened." "Source? Classified as impossible." The signal repeated. Not loud. Not aggressive. But clear. Ancient. Human. The hall fell silent. Somewhere, far beyond the stars they controlled, humanity had pressed a button. And the galaxy, which had forgotten them, was about to remember. The Grand Council Hall was still reeling from the impossible news. The red alert pulsed like a heartbeat across the crystal walls. Every alien delegate, from the smallest shadow creature to the towering Virex, stared at the main screen. "Impossible," whispered a delegate of the Lurian species. Their voice trembled. "Humans, they cannot exist." The Virex commander's cold eyes narrowed. "Then what is this signal?" The AI system paused, analyzing the data at speeds faster than any living mind could comprehend. Transmission origin, unknown. Pattern, human coding language highly advanced. Content, encrypted and classified. The council murmured. Human coding language? That had not been used in centuries. Entire archives of old Earth computers were considered lost, burned in the wars. Humans had vanished, yet here was proof they were alive. A bold counselor, a silvery being with 4 eyes, leaned forward. "Should we respond?" The Virex commander shook his head. "No. We watch. We learn. We do not engage ghosts." But the council could not resist curiosity. A scout fleet was prepared. Sleek ships, faster than any in the galaxy, powered by the latest AI systems, were dispatched. Their mission: locate the source of the signal and gather intelligence. No weapons fired, no harm was intended. This was a reconnaissance, not a battle. Light years passed as the fleet followed the faint signal, like moths drawn to a distant flame. No planets appeared, no asteroid belts blocked their path. The signal led them into uncharted space. Darkness pressed in from every side, colder and emptier than the emptiest voids in known space. Then, without warning, one scout vanished. No alarm, no explosion, no distress call. Just gone. The council was stunned. Another ship went next. And another. Each disappearance was silent. No debris, no energy spike, nothing. It was as if the fleet had walked into a shadow and ceased to exist. The AI system processed the data. The ships were deactivated. Non-lethal. All crew reports incomplete. Sensors show rewriting of internal systems. Rewriting? The council froze. That word had only appeared in ancient legends. Humans could manipulate technology in ways that no AI had ever been able to defend against. The Virex commander's hand tightened around the edge of his seat. "Prepare a warning message," he ordered. "If this is humanity, we will remind them why they vanished." Meanwhile, the signal continued to pulse. A simple pattern repeated. 3 long beats, 2 short, 1 long. To anyone else it seemed meaningless, almost like random static. But to those trained in the lost art of human communications, it was a message. "We are here. You will not touch us. Prepare for the consequences." The council debated. Some wanted immediate retaliation. Others feared confrontation. The Lurian delegate spoke again. "They are not sending threats. They are not asking for negotiation. They are declaring existence. And they are powerful enough to erase our fleets without a single shot." The Virex commander stared at the black space on the main screen, the signal source still hidden somewhere beyond their sensors. "Then we do not attack," he said quietly. "We do not show weakness. We prepare." At the edge of known space, a lone human ship drifted silently. Its hull was dark, absorbing light, invisible against the void. From its bridge, a single human officer observed the galaxy. No alarms. No haste. Just calm, precise movements. "They are coming closer to our borders," said a junior officer, voice low but steady. The captain nodded. "Let them come. We will not fight like they expect. We will change the rules." Back in the council, rumors began to spread. Traders whispered of strange disappearances in remote systems. Star maps showed empty sectors where ships once traveled freely. Some of the younger delegates began to panic. "How can a species so small do this?" asked one voice, trembling. The Virex commander's gaze remained unshaken. "They are not small," he said softly, almost to himself. "They are forgotten, but forgetting them was a mistake. A fatal one." As night fell over the twin moons of Aurelian Prime, the signal pulsed again, steady and unyielding. It was a quiet, unrelenting reminder that humans were no longer bound by their past failures. The galaxy that laughed at them, that thought they were gone forever, was about to realize a terrifying truth. Humanity had returned, and the stars themselves would tremble. Far beyond the known sectors of the galaxy, humans were no longer the same species that aliens had mocked in history books. The fleets that vanished, the signals that froze AI systems, and the mysterious manipulations of space, none of it was magic. It was evolution. 500 years ago, humanity had faced its own extinction. Earth was gone. Most colonies had been destroyed in war and collapse. For centuries, the remnants of humanity drifted between stars, hiding, learning, and adapting. They had no empires. No flashy weapons. No grand fleets that would scream their presence. They had something else: patience, intelligence, and vision. Inside a dark, massive ship, the bridge was calm. Humans moved silently, like a single organism. Computers were present, but they obeyed humans, not the other way around. Data flowed directly into their minds. They did not need AI to make decisions. They made the decisions faster and more accurately than any machine. "We have observed the Virex fleet," said a young officer. "They assume we are weak. They still underestimate us." The captain smiled faintly. "Let them. We do not rush. They have forgotten the most important lesson: humans adapt." In the dark corners of space, humans had learned secrets the galaxy considered impossible. They had mastered gravitational manipulation, bending the flow of stars and black holes to their advantage. They could predict cosmic storms and even minor anomalies before they happened. Where others relied on energy shields, humans relied on precision, speed, and the ability to turn physics itself against enemies. "They are like ghosts," whispered an alien trader in a distant system, noticing strange signals in abandoned sectors. Ships just disappear. No battle, no debris. Humans had also learned patience. They did not fight to conquer. They did not strike out of anger. They waited. They observed. They studied the galaxy and its rulers. Every technology, every law of physics, every weakness in alien fleets had been carefully recorded and tested. And now, after centuries of preparation, they were ready. In one training chamber aboard a human ship, young recruits practiced. But this was not physical training. It was mental. They learned how to predict enemy strategies before they were executed. They learned how to manipulate energy fields subtly. They learned silence. Silence was their weapon. An officer turned to the captain. "We can strike any fleet, anytime. But we strike only when necessary." The captain nodded. "Humans never rush. We strike only when the galaxy leaves us no choice." Elsewhere, deep in a derelict human station, centuries-old technology hummed to life. Ships were repaired using systems no one else could understand. Weapons were not flashy. They were invisible, subtle, and devastating. AI systems of alien fleets failed not because humans fought harder, but because humans redefined the rules of war itself. The galaxy had laughed at them once. Human ships had been considered slow and fragile. Humans had been thought primitive. But those humans who survived the dark had changed. They became patient predators, invisible until the perfect moment. They became masters of strategy and manipulation. They became more than soldiers. They became a force that could bend the laws of nature itself. A young officer on the bridge looked at the holographic star map. "They have fleets near our borders," she said, pointing. "They are curious," the captain said calmly. "Let them watch. Let them think humans are gone. The more they watch, the more mistakes they make. When they are ready to strike, it will already be too late." Meanwhile, in the distant council halls of the Virex Dominion, reports continued to arrive. Scout fleets vanished without trace. Unknown gravitational anomalies twisted entire sectors. AI systems froze mid-calculation. The Virex commander clenched his hands. "They are not only alive, they have become something else," he muttered. "Something beyond understanding." Back aboard the human command ship, the captain looked at the stars. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. "We left the galaxy to survive. We returned not for revenge, but to remind them. To remind everyone that humanity does not yield. Humanity adapts. Humanity endures. And now, humanity returns." As the human ships moved silently through the void, the first ripple of fear began to spread across the galaxy. Traders, scouts, and distant colonies reported strange signals, sudden disappearances, and fleets that acted strangely. No one could see the humans. No one could touch them. But the galaxy began to sense a new presence. The stars themselves seemed to shiver. Somewhere deep in space, the first human beacon blinked again, steady, deliberate. It was a warning, yes, but also a statement. Humanity was no longer the species the galaxy remembered. Humanity had returned. And when the first fleets finally encountered them, no one would be prepared. The galaxy had grown confident. It believed it was safe. It believed the humans were nothing more than a distant memory, a cautionary tale in the history books. Fleet commanders relaxed, AI systems hummed with certainty, and alien leaders celebrated their dominance. And then it began. Deep in uncharted space, beyond the scanners and satellites, a fleet appeared. At first it was invisible. Nothing but darkness between stars. No lights. No signals. Just the emptiness of the void. A Virex scout fleet was the first to notice it, though they didn't understand what they were seeing. Their sensors registered nothing. No engines. No weapons. No shields. Just mass. And yet something was there. Something immense. "This is impossible," muttered the fleet commander. "Sensors show nothing." Suddenly one ship blinked out of existence. Not destroyed. Not exploded. Just gone. Another followed. Then another. Panic spread among the alien crews. AI systems tried to calculate, to predict, to react. But every calculation failed. The fleet's algorithms broke down. It was as if the humans had anticipated every move before it was even made. And then, slowly, the human ships appeared. Not a sudden flash. Not a blaze of energy. Just dark silhouettes against the void, moving with perfect formation, silent, precise, and impossibly fast. The alien fleets could finally see them. Their ships were sleek but massive, black as the void itself. No bright weapons. No shields. Just perfect geometry and quiet menace. The Virex commander's voice shook, though he tried to hide it. "Prepare all weapons." The humans did not fire. They did not move aggressively. They drifted closer. And then it happened. The alien ships froze. Energy systems failed. Shields dropped. Engines stalled. It wasn't an attack, at least not one that could be seen or predicted. The humans had not fired a single shot. Yet the alien fleets were paralyzed. Their weapons went cold. Their ships floated like puppets with cut strings. They didn't fire," a Lurian officer whispered, disbelief clear in her voice. "They just stopped us." The Virex commander gritted his teeth. "Impossible. How can?" The humans moved again almost imperceptibly. Just a shift in position, a subtle change in gravity fields around their ships. But that small shift caused chaos. The alien formations broke apart. Ships collided. Fleets scattered. Systems crashed. "Adapt or die," the human captain said quietly over the bridge. But most will not adapt. No one had seen human ships move like this before. Their speed, precision, and control over space itself were unmatched. Aliens realized too late that humanity had learned to manipulate more than just technology. They manipulated physics, gravity, momentum, even perception. From the observation decks of distant stations, alien scientists watched in horror. "They are not fighting," one said. "They are rewriting reality itself." Back in the Grand Council Hall of Aurelian Prime, alarms screamed. Holographic screens showed fleet after fleet disappearing or collapsing without a single energy beam fired. Panic spread like wildfire. Delegates could not hide their fear. "Containment measures," shouted one alien. "Shields. Deploy all defenses." It was too late. Every strategy the galaxy had relied on for centuries was useless. The humans did not need to fight the same way. They had created a method the galaxy could not understand, could not counter, and could not escape. The Virex commander gritted his jaw. "This cannot be human technology," he said. "No one can do this." The AI quietly suggested evacuations. But evacuation was impossible. Human ships moved faster than any signal could reach, appearing at critical points in real time. It was as if they were everywhere at once. Meanwhile, the humans maintained their calm. On the bridge of their command ship, the captain observed the chaos with quiet satisfaction. "They are strong," a junior officer said. "Stronger than we expected." The captain shook his head. "We expected them. We prepared for them. Strength alone does not matter. Intelligence does. Patience. Precision. Adaptation. They have none of it." Across the galaxy, news spread faster than any fleet could carry it. "Humans, they are back," whispered traders, smugglers, and scouts. "And they are different." Ships once proud and powerful now drifted like broken toys. The Virex Dominion, the Lurian fleets, and dozens of other powers watched in disbelief. The humans had returned, not with fireworks or war cries, but with silence, control, and overwhelming power. The first human fleet had arrived. And the galaxy finally understood the terrifying truth. Humans were not the same species it had mocked. Humans were something else entirely. Even the stars seemed to shimmer uneasily as if sensing the shift in power. And in that moment, every alien in the galaxy realized a single undeniable fact. Humanity had returned, and nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy had expected war. Massive fleets, blazing weapons, desperate screams. But humanity did not fight like the galaxy thought. They had learned long ago that strength alone was not victory. Strategy, patience, and subtlety were far more powerful. The first reports came in from the Virex Dominion sectors. Entire fleets had disappeared, not through explosions, not by firepower, but because their systems had stopped working. Weapons frozen. Shields down. Navigation impossible. Ships drifted silently into empty space, their crews unable to act. Some surrendered without even understanding why. "This is not combat," whispered a Virex officer. "This is domination without battle." Indeed, humans had discovered a terrifying method. They could predict enemy actions before they were taken. Using a combination of advanced calculations, mental integration with machines, and a deep understanding of strategy, human commanders could manipulate not only ships but entire fleets' behavior. A Lurian fleet commander tried to attack. Thousands of energy beams fired at the approaching human ships. Not a single one hit. Shields collapsed, not from impact but from sudden energy feedback. Weapons overloaded and destroyed themselves. Humans did not touch a single beam, they simply rearranged the environment. Gravity, energy flow, and momentum were rewritten with perfect precision. From the alien perspective, it was madness. But on the human side it was calm, calculated. No shouts, no panic, no wasted energy. Humans used every weakness of the enemy without firing a shot. Aboard a human flagship, the captain observed multiple sectors at once. Holographic displays showed fleets of thousands, all paralyzed or retreating, their AI systems failing. "They are trying to fight," said a young officer. "But nothing works." "Correct," the captain replied. "They are playing a game they cannot understand. The galaxy has forgotten one lesson: humans do not fight like others. They think differently. They adapt. They endure. They win before the battle begins." In the heart of the Virex command station, the council met urgently. Holograms of ships appeared, frozen mid-flight. Alarm systems flashed. Delegates shouted orders, but every command was countered in advance. Human manipulation of communication networks caused confusion. AI assistants gave conflicting instructions. Systems crashed. "They are everywhere," said one trembling delegate. "And yet, we cannot see them properly." "They are not everywhere," muttered the Virex commander. "They are beyond everywhere." Elsewhere, a smaller alien fleet tried to retreat. The human ships allowed them to move for a moment. Then, without warning, their escape routes were blocked. Gravity wells subtly shifted. Energy flows altered. Alien ships stopped moving, not violently but naturally, as if invisible hands had guided them. Surrender was the only choice. A human officer monitored one fleet. "They will surrender without resistance," he said. The captain nodded. "Let them. We are not here to destroy. We are here to teach the galaxy a lesson." And the lesson was simple: do not underestimate humanity. Across the galaxy, whispers spread. Traders, smugglers, and even civilian colonies reported strange events. Entire sectors of space where ships had vanished. AI systems that refused to obey commands. Fleets that froze as if the universe itself had intervened. Panic slowly replaced arrogance. "This is beyond power," said a Lurian trader. "This is intelligence. Absolute strategy. They are something else." Even the strongest fleets, designed to dominate thousands of systems, realized they were powerless. No weapon, no shield, no trick could counter humans. The humans did not kill. They did not destroy. They simply changed the rules of engagement entirely. Back on the human flagship, the captain stood quietly on the bridge. "Notice this," he said to his officers. "None of them will rise against us without reason. None will strike again until they learn humility. Our victory is not in war. Our victory is in understanding, patience, and precision." In distant sectors, alien leaders whispered to one another. "The humans, they are not soldiers," said one. "They are the end of war itself." The stars themselves seemed to shiver. The galaxy had expected fire, screams, and chaos. Instead, it received calm, calculated dominance. Humanity had returned, not for conquest, but to show the universe that intelligence, adaptability, and patience were far deadlier than raw power. And somewhere, deep in space, the first human beacon blinked steadily. It was not a warning. It was a statement. The humans were here, the galaxy had been tested, and nothing would ever be the same. The galaxy had begun to understand one truth: humans were no longer the same species that had vanished centuries ago. They were stronger, smarter, and more terrifying than anyone could have imagined. Yet, as alien fleets trembled and entire star systems whispered in fear, The reason for humanity's return remained a mystery. On the bridge of the human flagship, the captain watched the stars drift by in perfect silence. His crew moved efficiently yet calmly. Every officer knew their place, every system obeyed instinctively, and every plan had been rehearsed for centuries. A young officer asked, "Captain, why have we returned? The galaxy fears us. They expected revenge, war, destruction. But we fight without battles. Why?" The captain's gaze lingered on the distant stars. "We did not return to fight. We did not return to conquer. We returned to correct the mistakes of history. To remind the galaxy that destruction is never the final answer. Centuries ago, humanity had left Earth. Their homeworld had been ravaged by war, pollution, and collapse. Colonies had fallen one by one. They had disappeared into the dark, not out of cowardice but out of necessity. The galaxy had forgotten them, and in its arrogance, it believed humanity was extinct. But humans had survived. Hidden, patient, and vigilant. In the dark voids of space they learned, adapted, and evolved. They discovered the patterns of stars, the hidden flows of energy, and the weaknesses of the galaxy itself. But this power was never for revenge, it was for preparation. "Look at them," the captain said quietly, gesturing toward the holographic displays of alien fleets now frozen in compliance. "They believe we came to punish them. But we came to prevent worse." Across the galaxy, a dark energy storm grew. It was a phenomenon of unimaginable scale, moving silently through star systems, threatening entire civilizations. Entire sectors would have been erased within decades if left unchecked. The galaxy's leaders were too arrogant, too confident, and too blind to notice. Humans had predicted this. They had studied the storm, calculated its path, and developed methods to contain it. Every strategy, every fleet deployment, every signal and beacon, they had been part of preparation. "We left to survive," the captain continued. "We returned to protect. Not to dominate. Not to rule. But to stop what none else could see." A junior officer frowned. "Then, all this power, all these tactics, the fleets that surrendered without a fight, it's for the galaxy?" The captain nodded. "Exactly. Humans learned the hard way. We fought among ourselves, destroyed ourselves, and almost disappeared. We know the cost of arrogance, ignorance, and blind confidence. The galaxy needs a reminder. And we are it." Back in the Virex command halls, alien leaders began to realize the truth too. The humans who had returned were not vengeful warriors. They were guardians of a subtle and terrible kind. Every fleet immobilized, every system paralyzed, every threat neutralized without combat, it was a message, not a massacre. "They are saving us," whispered a Lurian delegate. "And we feared them." Humans moved through the galaxy like a silent storm, not to destroy but to heal. They restored stability in fragile systems, prevented disasters that alien science could not comprehend, and rebalanced the chaos that had been growing unseen for centuries. In one distant star system, a young human officer recorded the observation. "Every act of fear we inspire, every fleet we stop, is necessary. The galaxy cannot be allowed to repeat the mistakes of the past. Humanity may have been forgotten once, but we cannot allow the same arrogance to continue." The captain stood on the bridge, gazing into the void. "They see us as monsters," he said softly. "They fear us, and that is acceptable. Fear is temporary. Survival is permanent. Wisdom is the true victory." For the first time in centuries, the humans allowed themselves to be seen by the galaxy. And though the alien races trembled, though fleets had surrendered and stars seemed to dim in awe, the humans did not strike a single blow of aggression. They acted not out of pride, not out of desire, but out of responsibility. A message was sent, not as a threat, but as a declaration. "We left to survive. We returned to protect. Remember us and learn. The galaxy's fate depends on it." Even the stars seemed to resonate with this silent truth. The humans, once thought extinct, had returned not as conquerors but as guardians. And the galaxy, for all its advanced technology and arrogance, began to understand that true power was not in weapons or fleets. It was in intelligence, foresight, and the courage to act when others could not. And humanity, having returned, was ready to remind every world in the galaxy of a simple fact. They were no longer weak, and they would never be forgotten again. The galaxy held its breath. Every fleet, every planet, every council and every sector waited, uncertain, as humans moved quietly through the void. Unlike before, this was not a battle of explosions and fire. This was a demonstration of mastery, intelligence, and patience, the culmination of centuries of survival and preparation. At the heart of a massive energy storm, a Virex fleet had gathered, desperate to resist. The storm itself was violent, churning plasma and gravity waves that threatened to tear ships apart. But humanity approached with calm precision. Their ships did not race blindly into danger. They did not fire a single shot. Instead, they moved like shadows, weaving through the storm, unshaken, unharmed. The alien fleets panicked. Lasers and plasma cannons fired wildly, but the human ships ignored them. Gravity fields subtly shifted around them. Alien weapons misfired. Engines overloaded. Every ship that thought it could attack found itself immobilized, floating like a leaf in a current too strong to resist. From the bridge of the flagship, the human captain watched it all with quiet satisfaction. They expected war, he said. They expected chaos. But we do not fight like they imagined. They only now see our strength and our wisdom. The young officer standing beside him asked, "Captain, will they survive this?" "They will," the captain replied. "Not because we are merciful, but because they will remember. The galaxy will learn humility or it will fall into ruin. Our task is not destruction. Our task is balance." Across the galaxy, ships that had once been proud and confident now floated paralyzed or surrendered without resistance. Entire fleets that had prided themselves on strength and dominance had learned something fundamental. Humans did not rely on brute force. They relied on intelligence, adaptability, and foresight. And humanity's greatest weapon was not its fleets or technology, it was its patience. The humans allowed the Virex and other alien commanders to understand their mistakes, to see the futility of arrogance, and to realize the cost of underestimating the species they once considered extinct. The storm began to calm. The dark energy currents, once threatening entire star systems, were neutralized as human ships absorbed and redirected the energies. Systems that had been on the brink of destruction stabilized. Worlds that had been lost to neglect and chaos began to shine again, their atmospheres renewed, their orbits steady. On one distant planet, civilians watched the sky in awe. They did not see the humans themselves, only the subtle ripple of their influence. The stars shimmering differently, lights in orbit shifting as if guided by invisible hands. And in every sector whispers spread, "The humans, they returned. They saved us." Back in the Virex Dominion Council, the leaders stared at the reports, stunned and speechless. One veteran delegate muttered, "They were not here to conquer. They were here to remind, to protect, and to teach us humility." "Yes," said the Virex commander, voice steady now but tinged with respect. "We underestimated them. We thought humans were weak. We were wrong. Dead wrong." The human captain activated the final beacon, a signal visible across the galaxy. Not a threat. Not a demand. But a message. We return not to rule. We return not to destroy. We return to endure. And to remind the galaxy that humanity survives. Even the stars seemed to respond. Distant suns flickered as if bowing to the presence of a species that had endured, adapted, and mastered survival. Nebulas shimmered brighter. Black holes seemed to whisper warnings. Space itself seemed alive, vibrating with the return of humans. And in that moment, every alien fleet, every council, every ruler understood the truth. Humanity was no longer a relic of the past. They were a force beyond reckoning, a species that had conquered time, space, and their own limitations. The galaxy would never forget again. Humanity did not seek glory. They did not seek war. But when they returned, even the stars trembled. The legend was no longer in the history books. Humanity was alive, vigilant, and supreme in subtlety. And the galaxy, for all its technology, knowledge, and arrogance, finally understood a lesson written in silence, patience, and intelligence. Never underestimate humans. Never forget them. And never think the stars themselves are beyond their reach. As the human fleet drifted silently into the infinite dark, a single thought resonated across every world. Humanity had returned. And nothing would ever be the same again.